Hello, everybody. This is Cynthia Gardner O'Neill. I'm here with the Adventures of the Heart, building wisdom through experience. And today we're going to have a wonderful experience. And we are here being joined by Sarah Rockwell. And she's going to be talking about the heart virtues. Now, I'm just going to introduce myself just a little bit more. I am the founder of the Center for Loving Consciousness. I have created some programs and courses that are called Heartmonics. And Heartmonics.
Hello, everybody.
Oh, hold on a second.
I'm here with the Adventures of the Heart.
Does someone have their information? Their
wonderful experience.
It's not me, Sarah. Might that be you?
Yeah, there we go, you guys.
It's you.
Hey, you guys, I wanted to introduce myself 2 times. So I thought it'd be a lot more fun to do that. So I want to thank you all for being here and, joining in the fun that we have on our adventure here to try to bring wonderful heart ventures to you, where we all get together and join together and just really enjoy life. And that's what this is all about. This is about us collaborating and coming together. And even if something kind of is a little off base or kind of we have little technical challenges or whatever, we're still going to have a really great time. So I'm here also with my co-host and my partner. And this is B. Lynn Hawkins. And I'm going to introduce her right now. And then we're going to get right into the heart virtues and give you something really exciting to learn about yourself, your own heart, and something that's going to really clarify how to take care of yourself and how to express yourself in a whole new way. And it's more of your truth, your authentic self. So here's my co-host, V. Lynn Hawkins. Hey, Lynn, thanks so much for being here with me and joining in on our heart virtue and heart ventures.
Hi there. Hi, everyone. I am so excited to be here tonight. I've been looking forward to this for the last couple of weeks. And it's here. We're here, Rockwell. And I'm just so excited because when I first learned about, back up a second. I'm V. Lynn Hawkins, and I am the founder and dean of the P3 Academy of Social Entrepreneurship. Co-heart to Gardner O'Neill, and we're doing Adventures of the Heart. So I heard about heart ventures or heart virtues not quite a year ago now, and by the thought that heart ventures could be something that not just define you and the you that you have brought with you from way back when to the point of now. But what's so amazing is that when you really align with what your heart venture is, what your heart virtue is, you really, I think, stand in a certain degree of power that you may not have experienced before. And I say that because the process is very grounding, and I am just going to so enjoy getting into this conversation about why everyone should have their heart virtue done. Heart virtues and the heart ventures. And we're bringing it to you tonight with joy and heart. It's just amazing journey for me in thinking that I knew what my heart virtue is, and then coming to really understand it. It brought like the thinking and the knowing together into alignment. And Cynthia, I have to say thank you to you for really kind of pressing me to make this connection and get this done. And I know we're going to talk further about, what each of our heart virtues are, but I want to say that the stage has been set Heart virtues are in the air. They are something that is going to come more to the forefront than ever before, because there are so many people who are interested in defining what their heart song is, and this is a way to do it. So I'm just really happy to be here. Thanks for joining us today, Sarah. Back to you, dear Cynthia.
Okay, well, this is really exciting for me to introduce Sarah. She's just an amazing woman, and I had the great opportunity to do a training with her within Directions University and DU, and which I'm a faculty member at, and so is Lynn. I am the Service Mindset and Authenticity, and what we did is there was a program that DU decided to create a master course, and it was on the service mindset. It was called the Mindset System Workshop. And inside there, we started the whole mindset off with heart virtues. And since I was into harmonics and loving consciousness, I was able to join and with Sarah and do a presentation along with her about the heart and heart virtues. And this is an amazing course that they have at Directions University. And towards the end here, we will give you those links so that you can have an opportunity to experience those things. But right now, I am going to introduce you to Sarah Rockwell. She is, like I said, just an amazing woman who has so much to share with us. And she has just her own story about her heart and I always talk about, we go from hardship to heartship, and that's what heart ventures, when we get together with people. But to learn heart virtues, what our own heart song, as Lynn was speaking of, your heart song, and this is what Sarah helps us learn so much more about ourselves. So, this is about the key to clarifying your heart's desires, through heart virtues. And Sarah is a spiritual life coach. She's certified Passion Test Facilitator, and I'd like to learn a little more about that too during this time, and a heart virtue expert. And she encourages, supports, and embraces you as you discover or rediscover your passions, identify your heart virtue, and or live your dreams with conscious intention. She is trained in Reiki and Theta Healing, and I love that Theta Healing. So, all of this stuff really is about the heart, where it all begins. And one of her major focuses and studies is the spaces of our lives. And I love the story about this, when Sarah shared that with me. So we'll see what all we can get out of her today. So, here we go. Sarah, come on in. Let's have you introduce yourself and get us started here. This is really exciting to have you here.
Hi. Well, thank you, Cynthia and Vila. I'm very happy to be here tonight. I learned my heart virtue probably about 7 years ago, and it was after I had lost 5 people in my life in 1 year and my dog, and 2 of the people were my husband and my mother. And I had severe depression, and there may be some men on the call, I'm not sure, but part of the severe depression was not just losing everybody, but that menopause, like the hormonal changes, threw me for a true loop. So anyway, I was depressed and not suicidal, but I remember having a dream where I was little Tom Thumb, or little Tom Mrs. Thumb, looking up at big cliffs beside me and wondering, how will I ever get out of here? So I signed up for classes like a lot of other people do, and said, oh, there'll probably be something that will touch me, touch my heart. And I saw Greg Moore speak. He's changed his name to Greg Montana now, but he presented his heart virtue work. And he had been a monk for 8 years, and besides doing his service and his meditation, he had studied heroes and he'd also looked at studies about the elderly on deathbeds. And what he found out that there was a spiritual power that made people magnificent or heroes, and it came from the heart. And that's why he named it Heart Virtue. And then he developed a process so it would be able to be clarity and power to everybody that got their heart virtue. And his goal was to get this out to as many people, millions of people, as he could. So it touched me. I learned the process. I've been working with others, and it has truly changed people's lives. So let me start with telling you what my heart virtue is. I am committed to passion, intimacy, and that's more like intimate connection with people, and aliveness. Now, what did that tell me about my life after I was coming out of my depression and stuff like that? It told me why I was so depressed, because I wasn't living my heart virtue. My life wasn't full of connection, because I'd lost a lot of the connections in my life. I didn't feel alive, and I didn't feel passion for anything. So once I knew my heart virtue, it was like I looked back over my whole life, and like the whole story. I knew my whole story. I knew why things affected me certain ways. I knew what made me happy. I knew, like Cynthia said earlier, just being in alignment with it and what I wanted to do just changed my whole world. And it's changed others' worlds as much. So, have you ever had a sense that there is something within you aching to be expressed, but you don't know what it is? Or yearning to find a calling in life to complete you, but you don't know what it is? Mm-hmm. The heart virtue is built into your molecules just like spiritual DNA. It is there when you're born. It is there when you're born. Wow. And it is unbelievable. And learning our heart virtue, what it does, and I'll explain a little more how it does it, is it gives us back to ourselves and the choice to be able to be who we are meant to be. And it takes a little risk, because anything that is meaningful takes a little risk. But it comes from somewhere in our heart, and that's why it's so powerful.
Well,
now,
and
go ahead.
Sarah, do you mind if I kind of jump in here just for a second?
Nope. I love it. You know that.
Yeah. So, I love that you said that we're born with this. And, and it's our who we are, the heart virtue. And what I love to share with everybody is, upon your birth, when you are conceived, the first cell upon your conception is the embryonic heart cell. Okay, so imagine that first cell, okay? And then we make cells, like a muscle cell and stuff, everything that the heart needs to pump and work as a heart, because your heart is the first organ. It's the first thing of who you are. Every expression of who you are comes from the heart. The heart is the signature sound of you. Every experience that you've ever had is what is expressing from the heartbeat. And, so your heart is the central communication center for every single cell in your body. So your heart virtue that Sarah's speaking about, that's what's expressing not only into your whole body, but guess what? Beyond there, because the heart is 60 times more amplified than any part of your body, and it's 5,000 times more electromagnetic than any part of your body. So what's going out? So if you're not in harmonic balance or coherence, which if you're not in your heart virtue, okay, you're expressing out incoherency. And when we're in alignment with our heart virtue, we are living our heart virtue. We are living who we are. Isn't that right, Sarah?
Yes, definitely.
Love that.
So let's look at heart virtues a little differently, because they're all around us. And even though a person's is individual, unique, we have an idea of heart virtues of some things around us. For instance, look at different countries. If we look at America, America is known for what? Freedom. Whereas China is more like community. And Japan is honoring their ancestors. So is it not surprising when America and Japan or America and China disagree on something? Because they're coming from a different heart virtue than the other country is. Let's simplify. Let's look at our animals. I mean, an owl, when you think of an owl, what do you think of? You think of wisdom. A dog, loyalty. A horse, liberation. And we also have names. We were named certain things. Well, Hannah means grace. Mary means faith. Every name has their own like little heart virtue connection. I mean, mine is Sarah, and it's princess. I'm not sure I'm a princess, but that's a different story. Maybe that's what I'm supposed to grow into. But let's look at, even in the entertainment industry, look at the movies and the books and everything that you read. There's a hero or somebody on a journey to be self-actualized. And that's what your heart virtue is, freeing you to live your life to be who you are meant to be. So let's look at a couple of people just to help you. And I'm going to ask Cynthia and Lynn to share their heart virtues. But Mother Teresa, hers is compassion. I mean, she lived her heart virtue. If you look at her life, she lived it. And Martin Luther King, his was brotherhood. Heart virtue is something that you would die for, and he died for brotherhood.
Yes.
Abraham Lincoln is unity. Look at all the work he did with freeing the slaves. He wanted a United States. So Greg realized that when he studied the heroes, like I said, that what he revealed was a science to great happiness was the motivating factor in all the heroes he studied was that spiritual virtue living in your chest, which is your heart virtue. It is that strong.
Yeah. I call that the treasure in your chest.
Yes. But when you said that, I'm almost thinking like treasure chest.
Yes.
Like a treasure chest.
Yes.
No, it really is. So if we looked at 3 things of great people throughout history, what were they committed to? And the people that we just mentioned you can look at, but it'll be interesting because you can look at even us with this. The first thing was knowing themselves. And knowing yourselves is like learning your heart virtue, who you are at your core, and living that, and what you most want in the world. The second thing heroes all had in common were that they communicated beautifully what they stood for. That meant they listened, they told stories. Like Cynthia does, they share quotes from people whom really they admire and they inspire. Yeah. They lead others through experiential exercises. They ask important questions. But they communicate beautifully for what they stand for. Mm-hmm. The third of a hero is that they make a contribution. And with contribution, there's small acts of courage sometimes that help you make those contributions. And there's a fourth one sort of that isn't really listed in the 3 steps, but I think it's really important to share with you, and that's that they receive rewards with grace.
Wow.
If you're living your heart virtue, you're giving, then you receive. And you receive with grace because you've earned it.
Mm.
So wow. when I look at these 3 things, I'm thinking of being a hero. I think, Cynthia, the last time we presented a little different, but I'm thinking, oh my God, it's not just my heart virtue that's living in my chest, but it's my hero, my own personal hero that's living in my chest. Because when Greg studied elderly who were dying on deathbeds, he wanted to know what their 5 main regrets were. And I'm sure it's been studied since, and maybe the order has changed a little, but probably really hasn't. But the first one was they wanted to spend more time in contemplation. The second one was to take more risks. The third one, they wish they had left a legacy. The fourth one was they wish they had said, I love you more. And the fifth one was they wish they had laughed more. So when you think of that, and even when the elderly come up with this, and we just talked about the hero stuff, you can match it up. Spend more time in contemplation is knowing yourself. They wanted to know themselves more. They wanted to, know who they were and to present that to the world. Take more risk. That is the communicating beautifully part. They wish they'd left a legacy. They'd wanted to make a contribution. And the laugh more and love, laughing more, loving more is, they wanted to be with people more, share themselves with people more, and they wish they hadn't. So even in the people that are dying, it's almost like they're saying, my hero wasn't expressed, and I'm regretting it. I didn't know my heart virtue. I didn't know my heart virtue. I didn't know my hero, but obviously I know somehow because I am saying that this is what my 5 regrets were. So so there's something unique in each person that creates a particular set of values, beliefs, and behaviors. And there's 2 paradigms to that because there are 2 ways that can happen. If you look and imagine a target with a bullseye in the middle, and we'll just put a question mark in that bullseye for right now, but I'll tell you it's heart virtue. But then when we move out, we have values, beliefs, and behaviors. So the question is, how can you live? So the question is, you can live outside in. You can say, oh, I'm overweight, or I'm whatever, and you can start with your behaviors and work your way in, but that's not satisfying. You'll find that's not satisfying, and oftentimes you don't feel fulfilled. The self-improvement program or the self-growth program didn't help you. You regained your weight or something like that. Whereas if you live from your inside out, it's your heart virtue in alignment, and that's directing your values, your beliefs, and your behaviors. So what does that mean for you? I mean, if it means a whole lot, because it means if you're living from the outside in, that you've changed your behavior, you're trying to make your brain think, this is reasonable, this is right, and then you're trying to fit into maybe the norm, like I'm having cosmetic surgery because everybody else is beautiful and I'm not. And then what are you doing? You're surviving. You're just surviving. You aren't living, you're surviving. Whereas if you live from the inside out, you identify what is most meaningful to you. And then that is living in your heart. That gives you goosebumps and rages. And during the heart virtue process, that's how we get to what your heart virtue is. What are your goosebumps? What have been some of the rage moments in your life? And rage doesn't, rage could be anger, it could be whatever, but it's when you're most in touch with your feelings or really with your heart virtue. And then you end up being self-actualized because you're experiencing life. It's not that you're trying to fix a problem. Instead, you're being empowered to live your life. And that's a great thing about knowing your heart virtue.
Yeah. Wow. All that you're speaking of, I mean, especially living from the inside out. That's really why I do what I do, that I teach what I teach, is to help people understand who they are. And that's why it's so exciting to bring you here to speak about heart virtues, because it is all about the truth of who you are. And I love that you talked about, just getting into, contemplation and the knowledge about who you are. That's what I love to do in Harmonics, is first, it's that awareness that we need to become aware and self-aware. And then the next level, once we become aware that there's certain things that we want to know about ourselves or why we do what we do, and that's what you were speaking about. Who am I? All those kind of things. And the next thing is to that self-knowledge, that knowledge about who we are, so we can start really understanding and taking responsibility for what we do and who we are. And then the next level I go to is understanding, and that's what I just spoke of, understanding, and then accepting who we are. So with the heart virtues, as you take us through this, that's the big thing, when we all of a sudden have that aha moment of who we are and understand it and then just accept it. Then we are in the inside, and we have that self-love that just expresses out. And when self-love, when you got that heart virtue, you talk about the automatic thing that happens is that harmony that happens. You just are love. And so you not only are taking care of yourself, but you're taking care of others. You're taking care of the all. I call it the one, the all, the one, I, the one, the all. The divine oneness is we are in that with your heart virtue. And so I want you to continue on. I want to hear more, and I know everybody else does too.
So when you're living from inside out, that's when you feel like your life's meaningful. You're really in your hero mode. You're taking risks, but you're having fun. You're loving, like you said, Cynthia. You're excited. You're embracing. You're creative. You're living, learning a new lifestyle. You're just happy. You're focusing on experiences, but you're focusing on being authentic and authentically present with those in your life and with yourself. And that is so key. Yeah. Because probably more than one of us, have known this, but, sometimes we go into relationships or whatever, or we either try and change others or change ourselves. And haven't we found out that doesn't work? Honestly, that hasn't worked. And the harder you try, the more the other person becomes resistant, and then anger builds up and all that. But instead, if you got interested in them and you believed in them, they would probably transform, whereas before they didn't.
Yeah.
That's why I said, some self-help programs and self-improvement programs really don't work. But if you think of evolving, if you think of having this thing that you've had since birth, and when you get your heart virtue, it's been with you your whole life. It doesn't change. It doesn't change tomorrow, or it doesn't change. Most people have the same heart virtue their entire life. So if you're living from a place like that and thinking of involvement and meaningness and awakening yourself to what is most important to me, what are my values, what are my beliefs, and why are they driven from my heart virtues, it's so important. It just gives your life a whole new meaning. When I was talking about trying to change people, a good exercise that I've sometimes done, and I'll just pass this on, is that whenever you meet somebody, just say, I believe in them, to yourself, I believe in them. And it's amazing the responses you get, because your perception of them and your perspective of them and how you meet them and how you interact with them is different, because it's from your heart.
Yeah, I really like that. I don't remember you bringing that up, in the past, all the things that we've done together, and it's like I've heard this for the very first time. To say that when you're with someone, I believe in them, and when it's vibrating out from the heart, guess what? They feel that.
Yeah.
You feel that, and it comes back to you 100 times plus. So what comes back to you is they believe in you.
Yeah.
What if we did that every single time we met someone, or we had this experience, with someone else, a heart venture with someone, that relationship, an experience with someone. Wow, that's very powerful. Thank you for sharing that. And I just want to, we'll definitely write that down and put that out on the board out there. And let's hear some more. I love that.
So, I mean, a lot of people, you won't know what their heart virtues are. I mean, Greg had done, thousands and thousands of heart virtues before I ever met him, and he said nobody ever could guess what their heart virtue was. That no matter how many he did, even if he had, because there would be people that would say, oh, I know what my heart virtue is. And he said they never got it right. They never got it right. So, I mean, it's interesting. So if you know somebody's heart virtue, that's fantastic. But what you can also do if you don't know the heart virtue is you can look at what is at the heart of their human being.
Mm.
Just, try and take a minute to focus on that instead of what they're thinking.
Yeah.
Because if you're thinking of what is at the heart of their human being, it's so much more powerful than what are they thinking.
Yeah. And, that's something you've been bringing up, and it's about that, the thinking and feeling.
Yeah.
And I think, and I feel that when we understand and accept the heart virtue of who we are, all those things come in alignment. I always talk about, the body, heart, and soul, and, the mind, the brain, the thinking, and the feeling. When they all come in alignment, it's kind of like a divine chiropractic adjustment, So I think that's kind of what happens when you know your heart virtue. It's like this divine chiropractic adjustment.
So, you brought an important part up because there are two ways of living, really. One's from your brain, and that's the outside in that we've been talking about. We try to make things reasonable, but what is our objective there, and what's the brain's objective is, the brain is interested in that we survive, that we're safe, that things make sense, that we fit in, that we look good, whereas, and that we're unharmed. But success to the heart is that we are fulfilled, that we have fantastic relationships, fantastic experiences, and that we don't have things. We just don't, our concentration isn't on things. So what the shift is one is that if you're always thinking from your brain, you may be acting from your desperation for results. Whereas the other, living from your heart, is an appreciation for experiences. And when you have that, in many in work that we do or work that you enjoy doing, those are the days when you think, I don't have enough time in the day, but I have enough time. There aren't enough minutes, but there are enough minutes because I'm doing what I love and what's passionate to me.
Yes. Oh, I so love that. That's one thing I love to share with people is we always have more than enough time to do everything that we're here to do. We don't need to force what is meant to be. And that puts us in a place of this calmness, this, comfort and joy. Mm. And I just, when I'm thinking, what came to my mind, to the thought process here, and I know this is coming from my heart first, because I know we feel first before we think. Yeah. And was a thought about, we have a lot of Alzheimer's and dementia and things that are coming up in this world. And I know we have been taught mostly to come from our IQ, the brain intelligence. Mm-hmm. And I think that really, as you stated here, is putting us in that lack and disaster consciousness to where we're in fight or flight all the time. We're trying to survive. That really puts a lot of stress on the brain and can deteriorate those brain cells and everything, and neurological brain cells and things like that. And also the oxygen level drops, and it really does put a lot of strain on us. And I think that might be, that's one of my theories, is we have been living so much in our brains, in our heads, that we weren't in balance with the heart and head. And I really believe that we are coming into a time where we are resurrecting the heart, is what I call it. Love and the resurrection of the heart. And it is changing things. And it is helping us become more whole. And we are more in balance with ourselves. And we we're starting to gain a higher consciousness, and it is transforming the world. I know we're seeing a lot of difficult times also out there, but for each difficult time that's out there, we actually raise the consciousness even more. More compassion comes out, and we will come into this balance. It's just about learning your heart virtue. When you do that, you take responsibility of yourself and love that's within you, and then you transfer from the inside out, as Sarah was speaking of.
Now, I'd like to just share a little story. I mean, my aunt currently has terminal cancer and she's dying, but she has dementia, which, you know, Cynthia, you brought this to mind because you mentioned dementia. And, I mean, she knew at one point that she had cancer, but she was supposed to have died probably 2 months ago. She's only given 6 to 8 weeks to live, but she's still alive. But with her dementia, she's not in any pain. She doesn't remember she has terminal cancer. So when anybody asks her how she is, she says, "I'm wonderful. I feel wonderful." And people wouldn't even know that she was sick and dying. But, you know, I've almost thought that with her attitude that's from her heart, she's been healing her body. She has been healing her body, and who knows how long she'll, you know, be with us. But it's just a miracle to watch this lady, even though sometimes you look at her eyes and they're blank because you know her mind's not functioning like it used to. But there's so much love, and she's living her heart virtue, and she's healing herself because of it.
Yeah, and that creates a better quality of life. You know, no matter where you're at. I mean, I've had experiences where I help take care of a lot of chronically ill people in the past, and during that time when I came into their lives, they were, I mean, so many people miserable. I mean, one in particular, a story that I have, you know, he had MS and was just hateful and spiteful and just hated everything and couldn't believe that he had this experience, and he was bedridden, couldn't do anything, and didn't have the freedom that he used to have, and he just hated life. And then when I came in, I started helping him learn more about, you know, what was well about him instead of focusing on the illness. And by getting him into his heart, it transformed the quality of his life where he was at. Now, I'm not saying I came in and all of a sudden here he was walking again, okay? What I helped him do was change the quality of where he was at in the moment. Like you said, you know, it makes, I mean, if you're going to have something, you know, let's have a better quality of life rather than living in all the pain and agony, because guess what you're going to get? More pain and agony. There's another place to live, but that's when, like you said, that's when we're on the outside, where that brain, thinking about it all the time. But when we're in the heart, the quality of life within your heart, oh my gosh, it feels so wonderful.
Yeah. And I'd just like to jump in while I've got connection here.
Welcome back, Lynn.
Thank you. It's like, wow, what is going on? And you know, when you're talking about the heart energy, I know, Cynthia, you've talked about how it exudes, I don't know how many times exponentially greater, the amount of energy. And talking about, you know, the place of thinking of it, it reminded me of early trainings about, you know, comparison, how people were really supposed to look at comparison as being the way we were supposed to be. Compare yourself to this person. If you're not like this, then you've got something you can aspire to. And compare yourself to this, and you'll see if you're a success or not. And then you got into the whole competition thing. You know, oh, healthy competition. Competition is healthy. Yet there were people competing, and it meant life or death. And none of that, all of that was this linear, you know, forceful, you mentioned that, forceful thing that really allowed for everything except the heart to be brought into it. It's totally a place of relearning at this stage of the game. I think, Cynthia, you mentioned it, resurrection of the heart, bringing the heart back from a place of being buried to a place of aliveness. And, that brings me to my heart virtue. And I think a lot of it is due to the loss that I've experienced in my life. I died when I was 7. My older brother and I were estranged from the time we were teenagers up and until healed and came back together again. And honestly, it was because he found his heart. And, when I think about my mom passed away a few years ago, and 2 years ago my son passed away, my only son, my youngest child, and I really had to go to my heart for healing. Cynthia, you say it all the time, and I think this is so wonderful. It actually allowed me to come to an understanding about the knowledge of hurt people actually hurt people. But when you go to your heart and allow the wisdom of your heart to lead, then your heart opens. And open hearts, I believe, open hearts. And thinking about what I've experienced in my life and in connection with my heart virtue, I know without a shadow of a doubt, I am committed to aliveness and self-expression, respect and empowerment. And that speaks volumes to me because I do see that that is who I have been my entire life, my 18-year fitness career. Building teams, managing teams, growing teams. This is truly who I was during that point in time. The underlying foundation of who me is, who I was and who I am now. It just, the truth of it all comes to light when you really understand your heart virtue. And I'm so grateful for that, because it does allow me a greater sense of compassion, and not just for other people, but for me. A greater sense of responsibility I am able to take for me, to my grandson, who I'm raising now. Instead of just, grandma says do this and, don't call me grandma. My grandmother name is Mia. It's like somebody else's grandmama, Gammy, whatever you want. My grandmother name is Mia. And, again, when I think about aliveness and self-expression and respect and empowerment, Mia says that. And I had that name before my grandson was born. Knowing he was coming, it was like, okay, don't call me grandma. So I got to figure out a name. And the way that I came about that was because I wanted something that could express the aliveness that I felt, could be my self-expression, was an endearing name that garnered respect. And it was someone who you could look to and feel empowered by, because that's part of me too. So I so appreciate hearing your story, Sarah, and your heart virtue and what it felt like to be out of alignment with it, and what it felt like when you were living it, and just self-expression and illumination and helping others to see you as the mirror to themselves. It's amazing.
Hey, Lynn,
Thank you for allowing.
Lynn, will you say your heart virtue one more time, because I want also people to see it expressing from you when you say it.
My heart virtue is I am committed to aliveness, self-expression, respect, and empowerment.
Beautiful.
Lynn, I
Thank
have to
you.
tell you, every time I see you, say it with more confidence and more beauty and more passion.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
it really feels like, that hat that you put on, that you look in the mirror and say, yes, this is me. And, or that pair of shoes. These are the words that really express my heart. And I'm so grateful to you for helping me to find them, to helping me to identify them.
Yeah. Well, should I jump in with mine?
Yes.
Sure.
All right. And it was so transformational for me when I learned that I am committed to truth, freedom, and self-expression. All of a sudden, after all the questions and everything I went through to learn what my heart virtue was, during the process, I was like going, how is this going to help me find my heart virtue? There's a lot of wonderful questions that Sarah asked us. And when all of a sudden she gave me what was showing up from inside me, from my heart, I am committed to truth, freedom, and self-expression. After I learned that, some amazing things also started to happen within Directions University. And this is where we're all faculty members there. And, in the business side of things, I felt that really our hearts were all started showing up in business. And many of us started talking about it so much more, and everybody started feeling so much more relationship and collaboration and contribution to each other because we were all in our truth and our authenticity of who we are. When Sarah helped us all learn what our heart virtues were, that's when I really saw a huge shift within even Directions University when we brought out and brought heart into business. And you hear a lot of us talking about that now. And I tell you what, anybody who, when we share the link to where you can get into the Mindset System Workshop, where Sarah goes through the whole heart virtue and how you learn what they are and things like that. And then we lead into the rest of the mindset system in business and how to really contribute and make a difference with your clients and be of service to the world. It is amazing. You will all, anybody who gets in on that, it's going to change your whole life. That includes business. That includes your experience with your family. It includes everything, your community, and how you express yourself out into the world. Your truth, your authenticity. So that is my heart virtue.
Briefly, and both of you mentioned it a little bit, but why don't people know what the heart virtue is? And it's because of, we're born and then we're cultured. We're first in the family relationship, then we're in the school relationship, then we're in a peer relationship. And really, in early childhood, we're told no or don't. What Lynn alluded to, no, don't. I mean, as a young child, you'd like to tell your parent, I'm living my heart virtue, shut up and let me do what I want. But no, you want them to be safe. So you're saying, no, don't do it, whatever. And so they're made to fit into what we think is normal for the tribe that we're in, or the family that we're in, or the society that we're in. So, and a lot of people just never leave that because they aren't encouraged to, or they don't know what their heart virtue is, or they don't know what their purpose in life truly is. I mean, children have two fears when they're born, or in a childhood, fear of falling and fear of loud noises. I mean, the people that I've talked to and worked with, those aren't their fears. Look at all the fears they've gotten because of the family they grew up with or the school, or they saw somebody afraid of a snake, now they're afraid of a snake, or they're afraid of spiders because of the way somebody reacted when they got close to a spider. So it's sort of like our heart has like cloaks or tapes around it, and our heart virtue is hidden from us, and we don't know what it is, and that's the reason why. And so we lose a sense of ourself and whatever, and then we're into this group consciousness of what beauty is, what we should be doing, how we should respond in different situations. We learn all these rules and regulations, but that's again, like almost living from the outside in instead of living from the inside out.
Yeah.
And but the reason, and because if you look at twins or family members from the same family, they have different values, they have different beliefs, they have different behaviors, and they're driven from what the heart virtue was. You'd think that two people growing up in the same family would have the same beliefs and values, but they don't. It's because they were born with a different spiritual DNA or heart virtue.
Yes.
And they just don't know what it is. So the heart virtue process is very simple. You look at, usually the comfort zone for most people is like 6 to 8 out of a scale of 0 to 10. So you're in the comfort zone. If people, become have rage or goosebump moments, they're up like 8 to 10. But the people in your tribe, they don't want, what happens when you become successful and stuff like that? They try and roll you back in and try and get you back to the normal zone. And it's the same thing if you're on less than 6. What happens, these are people that are victims. What you do if you see a victim, you try and bring them up to the normal zone. So people are always trying to help people maintain a norm.
Right.
Not really become who they truly are and be able to express who they are and discover who they are, and be able to create a vision that they want to live because it's their heart virtue and it's what does drive their beliefs and values. So what happens if your heart virtue, like I said earlier when I was talking about, I am committed to passion, intimacy, and aliveness. When I was depressed, I didn't realize that the significant depression, or how significant it was directly related to my not feeling alive. So the importance of learning your heart virtue, and you look at those moments in one-to-one interaction with me or a trained facilitator. What are some of the rage moments, or when you're feeling from your heart and you identify and answer from your heart the questions that I ask, that sort of it gives words, and your heart tells me, but eventually you pick out your own heart virtue. I mean, I tell you themes or what you mentioned this a lot, you mentioned that a lot, does that connect with you, whatever. So really, it's not that I give you your heart virtue, I help you discover and identify your heart virtue, and that's the important part.
Yes. I love that you talk about that discovery. And I always say to people, take a nice deep breath into your heart and love yourself more today than you did yesterday. Take an adventure into your heart and discover you. And that's what heart virtues are all about. They're about you taking an adventure to know who you are, to find out your authenticity. Sarah has joined me and Lynn in the Adventures of the Heart when we were talking about harmonics. And she has everything to do with harmonics, the harmony of the heart, the harmonics of the heart. And she's a part of my programs. And I am so excited that you're here, that I think people are really getting this. They're understanding there's something more. And, you kind of just gave us a little bit of the process you kind of go through. Can you share a little bit more? What do you think is the most important thing for people to know about heart virtues?
I would say, for myself, it's changed my life. And I would say, for other people, Cynthia, when you learned yours and discovered it and started to live it,
yeah.
I mean, just watching you, and the way you communicated, the way you almost like blossomed like a flower. But it was from the heart.
Yes.
It wasn't from your mind, it was from your heart. And with Lynn tonight, speaking her, and I've heard her say her heart virtue a couple of times, but the way she says it now, I know and I feel in my heart that she's living it, and she's aligned with it, and that it's changed her life, and it explains, it helps us understand why we responded a certain way to people, like why we got angry or something like that. Didn't have anything to do with them. It was because our heart virtue was tramped on.
Yeah.
There was something, we couldn't live our heart virtue, or somebody was trying to take away or control our heart or control something that wasn't our heart virtue. Yeah. And our response, whenever we get angry or enraged or something like that, it's because it's something that our heart virtue and we in our hearts can't tolerate. So once we know and we look back at that, or we start to have a discussion with somebody that may not be an easy discussion, we realize, like, oh, this is sort of touching my heart virtue, or speaking to my heart virtue. And because I don't feel like I'm living my heart virtue, or can, because of what's being thrown at me or said to me in anger, then maybe it's time to step away for a few minutes or for a while and say, can I come back and talk to you at a different time? Because when you feel that your heart virtue is violated, and I tell you, you would die for your heart virtue, and you're in a bad place with somebody, you need to walk away, because it will continue, because there will be anger, there will be rage, because unless you can step back and look at their heart virtue, or the heart of their human being with you, then there won't be an easy way to move forward, I guess. Yeah. I guess I would say.
Awesome. I started living in a whole different way, or expressing myself in a whole different way, and being in my truth. One of my favorite quotes by Waldo Emerson, he says, "My greatest accomplishment is to be who I am while others are trying to make me something I'm not." Mm. Or if I put it out there, to be who your greatest accomplishment is to be who you are while others are trying to make you something you're not. And you mentioned something in there that really woke me up there about where I am now since I learned my heart virtue. And I remember starting the business, the Center for Loving Consciousness. And I wanted to teach loving consciousness, a higher consciousness, to people, because it makes all the difference in the world and in your life and how you express yourself when you do it from love. And many people laughed at me and said, "You will never, ever be able to do business about, love, teaching love." And most people, when we think of love, a lot of times it's just a process that we've been taught. And we really don't even know what it really is. Mm-hmm. I think it's so important for us to learn that. And heart virtues actually teaches us in a way that can be more accepting, but also so, we feel it so immediately when we learn what it is, that we don't question love anymore, and we understand more about what it is. And how important it is to come from a place of unconditional love within ourselves and with others. Because when we start learning, and understanding ourselves and our authentic self, and I call self, SELF, is source energy love frequency. your heartbeat, the signature sound of you. It's your enlightened inner pharmacy. You can harmonize anything. And like you were saying, as far as, whether you come from a place of anger and then going into a place of that self-love, that heart virtue, and really understanding it and how easily you can harmonize and transform that anger or rage or whatever into something different, something that is heartfelt. And it's incredible. So that changed for me. All of a sudden, I wasn't afraid anymore to speak my truth easily, freely. So and then express it. And it did. It changed everything. I was so much, I could do it with ease and express my love and how important love is to people in their business, in their lives, after I learned the heart virtue, and it changed my business. I now am able to do business and teach about the heart and about loving consciousness with ease. And people are accepting that whole thing in business. In fact, we're seeing it come out. We just had World Love Week, the Totalpreneur business. We have, we see Virgin, we see Subaru. Everybody's getting into the love thing. How about all the, the Super Bowl commercials and everything? Even though it's February, we've never in the past ever seen the love and the heart stuff that came out in commercials and in business and everything like it is right now. It is rocking it. And I tell you what, get that heart virtue, everybody out there. And I'm going to give you the link here in just a minute. Now that we have Lynn back on, because I know she's had a lot of technical difficulties, are you able to come back in and express something yourself, and we'll start wrapping some things up and getting, everybody's kind of last words or take on all this.
Well, I just have to say that being able to stay in my heart has allowed my laptop to survive this. Oh my gosh. This, and when I think about it, this has been, I've never experienced this before. And it just, one person who I learned hurt people from was Joyce Meyer. And she also talked about how, in the Bible, and not to really be, spiritual, the whole religious thing, but I am very spiritual. And I do believe that we were put here for a purpose, and the Bible expresses a lot of what it is that we can draw correlation to. And there's a part in the Bible that she really helped me to center into, and it's the part where it talks about as you're walking the path, you will go from glory to glory to glory. And a little earlier today, I interviewed her, and she was talking about being on your forward onto the next stepping stone. And I love that.
Have we lost her? Sarah, can you hear Lynn?
No, I can't anymore right now.
Oh,
coming back in?
I can hear you guys. You can't hear me? No?
We can right
We can now. We can
Yeah.
now.
Okay. I was just saying, did you hear me talk about the stepping stones? No? No. Well, Gail Watson talked about how, sometimes we look at things and we look at stepping up to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
Hear me so that I know to keep going, okay? Great, thank you. And she said, it's not so much that you're going to the next level as it is that you're stepping you're stepping forward and stepping onto the next stepping stone. So it's stepping stone after stepping stone, and you just keep moving.
Are we losing her? Well, we're going to have to hear the stepping stone.
Yeah.
We'll get that that story posted for everybody so we can hear that.
Yes, sounds like it might be a nugget.
And I just want to let Lynn know that she has her picture up, plus we can, see her. So she has two things going on here that might be interfering with the other. So she's like double-hearted there.
Yeah.
Two of you. She's doubling up.
It's all the love. It's all the love.
There we go. So I was just saying to everybody, since you didn't have a chance to finish that story, that we would go ahead and have you post that in about that story and the stepping stones, because I know we all would like to hear about that. However, I want to honor everybody's time for being here, and so any last words about the heart virtues, Sarah, that you want to share with us as we come to this time of wrapping things up? And then I'll also give people a couple of links. One is going to be a link to the heart virtues beginning, the training that we started off with to bring people into the mindset system workshop. And it will provide you with a one-on-one coaching with Sarah. And then I'm also going to provide you with a second link that's going to give you where to go to get the mindset system workshop, that we have the heart virtues and all kinds of great things about changing, a healthy heart for a healthy mindset to be the life you love. Because when we shift our hearts, we also shift what's going on within our brains and brings us into that divine chiropractic adjustment that I talked about. So all that is in the mindset system workshop, and I highly suggest you learn your heart virtue and go get a one-on-one with Sarah. So I'll be putting that up there, and so let me take it back to Sarah here and have her give us whatever else she feels that we need to finalize this wonderful show that we just had.
No, I'm just very appreciative to be here, and what the honor is that I've worked with both of you to discover your own heart virtues. So that's special, and that's unique, in that you are able to share that. That's absolutely fantastic. But I am interested. I mean, that's one of my goals, like Greg's is to get this information out so that people can really become self-actualized and really live the life that they're intended to live. And I would love to work with you one-on-one to find your heart virtue, because everybody's is unique. It's not replicable, and knowing it just illuminates your life. It empowers you, and living from your heart, as all of Cynthia's programs and Lynn's programs have demonstrated in this series, is so important.
Thank you, Sarah. And Lynn, are you back with us here? Let's see if we can get some closing words.
I'm back.
Lynn.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you can.
Great. For the smoke.
Yeah, we're just having such technical difficulties.
I will say, talk about the master class. Did you hear that? The master class?
Yeah.
Let our audience. The master class where Sarah will be back with us.
Yeah, well, we are. So I don't have the dates and everything here, so that's something that it's in March, the master class, and I'm hoping that Lynn, you can speak a little more to that.
26th and 27th, Thursday and Friday, the 20th.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and interrupt you.
It's going to be two.
We've lost you again. So the master class, as she said, we'll post everything about the master class also in this area on the dates. Also, all the people who are coming in, we're going to be talking about one of our first of our 4 C's, you know, the keys to a better relationship within business, the heart venture, and it is about connecting. Everyone that is about, you know, there's some kind of connection that we have with life and with our businesses, with our relationships, and how to make them even better. Lynn, if you could go ahead, since we can't hear you, go ahead and put something in the comment area about this. And Sarah is going to be one of those people who are going to be putting out how we connect with ourselves and how we can have better relationships in that connection through heart virtues. So with that, and I'm going to also switch this over, I am posting right now the links to the one-on-one with Sarah Rockwell to learn what your heart virtues are. There's also a the whole training there that you're going to get as a bonus for signing, you know, when you get in there. So it is at heartmonics.org, and ignore this heartmonize.com that you're seeing under my name here. Is when you go there, it takes you to all the Adventures of the Heart shows, so you can go there and find out more. But heartmonics is .org is where you go /heart virtue, HEARTVIRTUE, and I'm going to post that link. That is for the one-on-one with Sarah Rockwell for learning your heart virtue. And then we have another link for you. It's at heartmonics.org /MSSW, which is Mindset System Workshop. And that'll take you to where you can get in and learn about the Mindset System Workshop through Directions University, and which we are all on there. Lynn is in there. Sarah's in there. I'm in there. We have Gina Gallio-Graves, Jack Humphrey. We have so many wonderful people who are doing a presentation in there. And about the mindset is about helping us have better business through better relationships and all those things, those heart virtues. So I highly suggest that you go there. I am posting the link. Again, that's heartmonics.org, Heart Virtues, for the one-on-one with Sarah Rockwell for your Learn Your Heart Virtue. Highly recommend that. I encourage it so much. It changed my life and helped me become more of who I am, so that I am committed to truth, freedom, and self-expression. And here I am on the road doing exactly that. So thank you all so much for joining us. Lynn, I'm not sure if she can say goodbye, but she's going to be posting some things there for you guys to learn more about our Heart Ventures Connection Masterclass. And Sarah, do you want to say any goodbyes here and any last words?
No, I think I'm all set. Thank you so much.
And thank you. Thanks so much for being here. Lynn, let's see if we can get in some last words from you, and then I will just finish off. Let's see.
Last word.
Yeah, go for it.
Last words. Get your heart virtue done. You will not regret it. Run, don't walk, run to sign up to get yourself your heart virtue done. I can't tell you, just in the short time that I've had mine done, how much has happened that has just been over the top. between new clients and new business opportunities that Cynthia and I have experienced. It's just been amazing. It's like it turns on the light, or the light switch, and opens the door and opens the window and allows the fresh air and the sunshine, because it really has felt like that.
Well, thank you.
And I'm just so grateful that I had the opportunity and got that done. And I encourage everyone to do that.
Well, I'm going to come right in here, Lynn, because we've lost you again. But we found you.
Yep.
You are here. You are in, you know, we are having this heart venture here. Thank you all so much for joining us at the Adventure of the Heart, building wisdom through experience. And the last thing I'd like to leave you is every single one of you out there, take a nice deep breath into your heart and love yourself more today than you did yesterday. Join us again next week. We're here every Thursday at 8 o'clock Eastern, and we really like for you to come back for some more, and we'll see you then. So again, I've posted the links in the comment section, you know, to have a one-on-one with Sarah, also for the Mindset System Workshop through Directions University. I'd highly recommend it, and like Lynn said, run, don't walk, get your heart virtue done, because the love of one person, especially when you know who you are and your truth, can change the lives of many. Thank you so much, and you all have a beautiful day, evening, afternoon, wherever you're at, and we love you.